I'm Baskin Robbins.
And I always find out.
This is Sibling Rivalry. I'm so glad you remember that.
How can you not? They repeated it like 3 times.
That's part of the movie. Paul Rudd is obviously the most popular superhero of all time with this gigantic budget behind him in Ant-Man. We finally got an Ant-Man movie after years and years of waiting. You know, there's been rioting in the streets, people holding outside, where is Ant-Man? Where is Ant-Man? I mean, so many people have just demanded this superhero, and finally, here he is in all his glory.
Are you being sarcastic?
Yes.
Because there actually has been a demand for this
Has
movie.
there really for Ant-Man?
You do realize this is like a movie that's been like 7 years in the making, right?
No, not even that, but okay, like people, you know, and X-Men, Spider-Man, you know, Superman, Batman, I mean, these are the comics that, you know, people want to see. It's like, people actually, like, there's this big following for, like, a big following for Ant-Man, because I know about the development of it. You know.
Oh, yes. And you've just pissed all of them off.
Ha ha! Joke's on them. I liked the movie.
God damn it! Man, foil!
I knew / still kind of know nothing about Ant-Man going
Well,
into it.
thankfully I'm here to tell you I don't know much about Ant-Man.
You know he made Ultron.
My knowledge of Ant-Man is mostly limited to what I read on the little Marvel collector's cards that I collected when I was like a kid back in the
We still have those.
early 90s, like 1991.
We thought they were going to be worth so much, like the really rare
Shut up, man! I'm still holding out!
Maybe they are. I don't know. I haven't checked.
I think the holograms are worth like $10 each. And I've got like maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 of those. So there you go. I maybe have $150 of worth.
Meanwhile, like my Disney VHSs are worth like hundreds, something like that. It's like fucking insane.
But yeah, so I know of Ant-Man, and I know of him because
we have never met him in person.
We've never met him personally.
Insect.
I know of him through the Avengers. He's like that guy you know at a party through your other friends. So I used to read some of the Avengers, so I know about Hank Pym and Ant-Man through that. But
it is kind of like in the movie. He knows this guy, who knows this girl, knows this other guy, knows this other person.
There's a few Ant-Men, if you will, and this is Scott Lang, not Hank Pym. So, and he still has a daughter, but as far as I can tell, she doesn't have some sort of killer heart disease yet. So it's playing a little loose with it.
Okay,
but
you know much more than I do.
Well, that's most of what I read. Wasp is not in this one.
Well,
but they're hinting. Well,
I mean,
the original Wasp was alluded to.
Not alluded to. We saw the original Wasp.
Did we?
Yes.
Oh, the flashback. That's right.
Yeah. No, we saw her.
Okay, briefly.
Yeah, but she's technically in it.
So Janet was in it for. It's Janet, right? It was Janet Pym, right?
Oh, I have no idea.
It's been a while, since I've.
I just know Michael Douglas wants Catherine Zeta-Jones to play her, and I am a strong yes.
This is what happens when you haven't read comics since like 1995. I thought it was Janet Pym. Anyway, whoever, original Wasp. So we do get some of that, but yeah. Anyway, so that's about what I know about Ant-Man.
Yeah. So this story is every superhero story you've ever seen. It's pretty
mostly
much,
Iron Man.
Yeah, Iron Man.
At least the movie version of Iron Man.
Or like a mixed with a heist movie where it's like the thief he just got out of jail, giving up his old ways. He's got a kid, but he can't get his life together. So then it's like there's one more job, and the job is connected to this rich scientist
with
guy.
the help of 3 mostly inoffensive stereotypes.
And he tells him about the ant suit, and but you know, it wants to use it to go in and stop this other small suit from getting to its enemies. But you know, the woman on the team, who's the daughter of the scientist guy, doesn't believe he can do it. Doesn't believe we need him. Oh, will they find a way to get along? And will he be the right man for the job to stop this evil guy from selling this suit? It's every heist superhero story
versus the white-run corporate military-industrial complex
with the
metaphor.
shaved head. Yeah. So it's
we can use this as a weapon.
What really shocked
when
me,
you put it like that, it sounds terrible. But
yeah, no, honestly, if you were to show me, even
if you were to tell me this plot, I would be like, really?
No, honestly, if you were to show me the script to this, I would say there's some creative stuff, but clearly it needs a couple more rewrites. Yeah, I mean, even the dialogue, but...
And yet, the irony in that is that may have been what led us here in the first place.
Yeah,
is those rewrites.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I've heard about the.
I think it needed to be unwritten. Is part of the problem. I think Marvel need to get its grubby little fingers off this and let the directors do their damn job.
We need 5 more references to the Avengers.
Really? Haven't seen that yet. Another Marvel movie.
But no. What makes this film surprisingly work, at least for me, is that while a lot of the lines and the setup we've seen to death, and like the back of your hand, I think the effects and the shots for when they become small are very creative and well done. And most importantly, I think they got really good actors to do this. I think they got people that really bring a lot to these roles that we've seen a bajillion times. But as I was watching it and I know the story, I'm saying, I want to know what happens to them, and I'm invested. I mean, like the relationship between Michael Douglas and the daughter, I was like, I know this routine, I know this shtick, but it's like, I really felt that relationship, and I really felt bad for them, and
Paul Rudd, I gotta say, I thought was really effective as Chris Pratt doing Scott Lang. So it's funny because I looked at him like, this is Chris Pratt, but it actually works. Michael Douglas looked like he just dropped right out of Wall Street, but it was just one of those perfect casting things. Because I'm like, I mean, this is totally kind of like, it's kind of like if Gecko had a heart all of a sudden, it was like all about the redemption. I never saw the sequel to Wall Street, so, but it's kind of like, that sort of role, and I'm like, it works. Like, the movie, I thought overall was really cast well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really, aside from the effects and the shots way smaller,
and the funny thing is
the strongest
the special effects are really weird. They're not hyper-realistic.
No.
They're not great in that sense that I really believe he's like, a millimeter tall, and they're really cartoony. But I think it needed that. Like, do you agree? Like, it's kind of like you're watching a glorified cartoon, but it kind of sells you on the comic book fun of it. It's because the CGI is definitely you're like, okay, this is obviously CGI, but it's really fun. It's kind of bright and colorful. It does all these kind of warp effects.
I think what they did is that they got some interesting angles, and what I noticed, they play with the focus a lot. And so a lot of things are like...
Yeah, the foreground in particular.
It makes the world seem
way larger.
Yeah, which was very clever.
It was very clever.
And I saw it in 3D, and
I saw it in 3D too.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was a good film to see in 3D.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah. I don't know. Actually, I didn't see it in 3D. I don't like seeing things in 3D unless if somebody tells me it's the greatest 3D movie ever made, I'll see it in 3D, so... That's why I saw Avatar in 3D, and I saw How to Train Your Dragon in 3D on the lark, and both were good, but most part, I don't.
I'm usually not a fan either, but it's the way my wife would go see it. She's like, I don't like action films, is it in 3D? And, okay, let's go. She really liked it. She thought it was cool. But the 3D did help. And it was
my wife wanted to see it in 2D.
It was a good... It was a good use of the 3D. I thought the angles were effective enough, because I'm thinking I think it's going to be hard for us not to think back to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, because that was like the first giant ants we've ever seen. This movie has tons of giant ants all over the place.
Anthony! He names...
Don't bring him up, man. Don't bring him up.
He names one of the... Michael Douglas says, he's like, and this is number 247, and this is number 348, and he's just like, why don't we give them names? Like, do you know how many fucking ants there are? Like, he's just like, idiot. And so he names the flying ant that he flies Anthony, and then it's exactly like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I'm like, oh, I love this little guy.
Yeah, no, I was like, Anthony was cool. But yeah, it's I think it's the fact that in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the sets are amazing in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and the effects really are really good.
Yeah, but that one's set based. This is CGI.
No, I was gonna say, but that one very much had what is it and what do you need? Mostly point and shoot. That's all you need. Let the set speak for itself. Where this one, it really is the angles. You can see that when he first shrinks down, you can see like the dust particles flying around and stuff like that. Like little details like that add a lot.
The funny thing is, you mentioned that because I don't think I've seen something like this since Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
And I think that was the fun of it. I had a flashback to being a kid and watching Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which was a fun movie if you were a kid. Like, we saw that back when it came out, and I thought it was amazing. So I actually appreciated it for that. And I thought that the CGI work, it's different than Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but it's still just as fun. So.
Yeah, and I think the idea, what really sells it big time is that my big fear when I first sort of saw like the teaser for this movie, I mean, even though it kind of looked like fun, I was thinking to myself, is even when he first shrinks down, I'm like, is he just going to be small for a really long time? Guys, down here! And they don't see him, and they almost step on. And it's like, Dad, don't eat me! Yeah, I just thought, like, is that going to be a good half of the movie? And no, it's like...
No, they dispense with that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, and
well, you've got Michael Douglas talking to him. It's like, yeah, what are you going to do now, smartass?
Yeah, no, but if this was like an 80s, early 90s movie, you know half the movie would be him trying to get back, and then the second half would be the heist. But no, they keep it to what's interesting.
I think they wisely knew that because this idea, to some extent, had been done before with Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, you don't need to blow that much time on the awe and wonder and Hermit Gerd and Schmur. Like, you know, it really, the bathtub scene, you know, he basically gets kind of like flushed down the drain, and like there was enough awe and wonder and terror in that one scene that it kind of filled you up.
Yeah,
and then sucked you right into this small world, and you're like, okay, I'm there.
Well, I feel
need anything
I feel like that's what the movie did throughout the whole thing, is that, hey, we know these cliches, we know you know these cliches, we're gonna kind of hit them, and then when the emotional stuff that you need comes up, we're gonna focus a little bit more on that, but we know that you know this, so we're gonna let the actors do what they do and do it well, but then when you got the idea, we're going on to the next thing. And they did it very well.
There was an economy of storytelling, which I kept thinking the movie was gonna feel really slow. I thought it opened kind of clunky. When he starts breaking in, you know, I don't think it's a spoiler, it's about 15 minutes in, but when he starts breaking into Michael Douglas's, to Pym's place, that's when the movie started. You know, it literally at that point, when he gets the suit, the movie began for me. And from that point on, I thought it was really good. I thought about the first 15 minutes, I was just like, where are we going with this? Like, this is like, you know, it was a slow, clunky start, but I thought once it kicked into gear, I'm like, once he got the suit, I'm like, okay, I was in. I was completely sucked in. I'm like, I'm having a good time, despite the fact that, like, the side plot of just, like, we should weaponize this suit, and you know, and Michael Douglas, I'm not gonna let you do it, and I just kept looking at, I'm like, I feel bad for this movie, because I feel like this would have played better before Iron Man. Like, but now that Iron Man's already come out, it is literally the exact same plot, but it's executed so well in this movie, despite that. Like, it's so fun that I can forgive it and overlook it, but yeah, I kind of like, whenever it gets into the actual plot, I'm like, okay, been there, done that. Like,
I mean, for me, I mean, like, people always, they always say, well, why are you always on and on about, you know, you need new stuff, Well, first of all, it's like, really, why do you say we need new stuff? Have you seen what's out? But second, it's not always I need new stuff, I need something new done with it. And I felt like, well, with the effects, and like I said, with these people, I felt they really brought this new kind of energy to it and this new sense of fun. And for me, if people are like, well, how come you like something stupid like this and not Jurassic World? Which, if you like Jurassic World, you know, fine, I'm not shocked if you like Jurassic World.
I like Jurassic World.
No, but I mean, but even you have to admit, the characters in this are so much better than the ones in Jurassic World. I mean, it's like, I can watch a movie about these people, and that's what, for me, holds it through. And then when we get... And it seems like they do all the possibilities with being big, being small, you know, and he's training with them, and they can control the ants, and then at the end, when you have, like, hey, we're gonna have this big fight in this little girl's room, they don't just keep it to the tiny train set. They throw stuff where the train gets big. The ants get big, then other things get small, and they get bigger and smaller.
I'm glad you brought that up, because it's not about the originality. It's about the execution. Because there's very few really original stories to tell. And those that try hurt themselves. Shyamalan comes to mind.
Yeah.
He's so desperate to be, what they twist, that he literally will tank his own movie in an attempt to try to, twist us and be like, see, it's new. I love how our impression of Shyamalan, by the way, is
he has like no accent.
He has no accent, but we just going off of Robot Chicken. So, and it's the same thing with Inside Out. Like, people are like, well, but Inside Out isn't original. How can you, it's not original? I'm like, yeah, but it's 1,000 times better than Herman's Heterosmosis Jones ever was.
Yeah.
So who gives a shit?
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing here to a lesser extent, because I think this movie's a little clunkier, but it is exactly like Iron Man. When it comes to the actual plot idea itself, there's nothing new. It's Iron Man crossed with Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but it's so fun in the way it does it. I don't care. And that ending is a great point, because the ending to Iron Man sucks!
Yeah.
It's terrible! And I'm sorry, but the fucking Big Lebowski in a giant garbage can?
It's so stupid.
It was terrible. Just, oh man, I'm gonna totally destroy you,
yeah,
man.
that stupid voice coming out.
My
I would
God.
say Iron Man is amazing until he becomes Iron Man.
I'm the warmonger, dude, or his Warness, Warderino. I'm sorry, just, no, it was terrible. I didn't even think it was shot that well. It was a horrible climax. So, this is the exact same frickin' idea. Oh, I've got a suit like yours. We have matched abilities and we're gonna fight. And George R.R. Martin, who actually liked this movie, the stupid internet's been trying to run around and be like, George R.R. Martin's complaining about Marvel, the world has ended. And it's like, if you read the whole thing, he's like, no, I really like Ant-Man. I read Ant-Man, I've always rooted for Ant-Man, I thought the movie was pretty good. This is my one small gripe with it. And his one small gripe was he's sick, and more sympathetic I could not be to this. He's sick of a movie ending with two villains with matched abilities. Iron Man comes to mind, I've created an Iron Man suit, I've created another Iron Man suit, man. And they just fight, and it's lame. And in this one, it's a similar concept, you've got the Ant-Man suit, and then you've got the Yellow Jacket suit, so pretty much the same exact thing.
Except there's a slightly bigger or a few more bells and whistles. Yeah.
It's yellow! But the thing is, I think George R.R. Martin may have missed this a bit in his criticism, is that what makes this one work versus Iron Man is it's wildly creative in what it does. They have matched abilities, but I ain't ever seen two matched villains fight on a toy train and go big, small, big, blow the train up, the train gets big, the train gets small. It is so goofy and fun that I'm just like, okay, exact same idea as Iron Man, done so much better.
We have these effects now that, and I think we both gone on before, CG is way too overused and stuff like that.
Oh, this is a movie where the CG is so needed.
They say, hey, what can we do with this possibility of this guy that can grow big and small? Because that's been done a million times in the past, but let's have it, we can do it whenever he wants. He can grow, he can go small to go through, a little keyhole, but then become big on the other side before he even lands on the ground. And, that's just the beginning. And you can just go so many places with that. And you can have him, somebody tries to shoot, he grows small, he's on the gun, runs across the gun, and then becomes big again and punches him. There's so much that can be done with this, and they take advantage of it. And they take advantage of it throughout the entire film.
Yeah, this, and that's the point where I think that's the difference between this and Iron Man, even though this is exactly like Iron Man in plot. Iron Man, I thought, was a more solid movie up until the climax, where I thought it just completely fell apart. I love Iron Man, and Robert Downey Jr. is great. But that's that one moment in the movie, about the last 15 minutes of that movie, I could literally turn it off before the end and feel like, I saw the best.
Can we just fast forward to where he says, I'm Iron Man?
Yeah, and then they fight. I'm Iron Man. Boom. That could be the movie for me. Whereas in this one, I'm like, it's pretty good.
That's kind of what Iron Man 2 was, the more I think.
It's pretty good.
Just fast forward the climax.
Yeah, in this one, I don't even remember Iron Man 2. I don't think anybody does. I think people say they saw Iron Man 2 but don't remember it. This one, it's kind of the opposite. It's it's a little clunky, there's a lot of fun here and there, and then all of a sudden, it almost kind of comes alive at that climax. you kind of almost wish there was more of that stuff, but they were saving up for this climax.
I felt like it was just the right amount.
Yeah,
honestly.
it just felt, it was just such a perfect, fun way to end the movie. It was the exact opposite of Iron Man. I'm like, you know what? I'll take it. Like, they took a similar idea from Iron Man, and they made it so much better, and that counts more for me than being original. So I'm willing to forgive this film for being unoriginal as fuck. Because this is just nothing, but it just was goofy fun.
Well, what they did with it was, what the idea is not original, but what they did with the idea is very original, very fun, and well acted. I mean, they even make fun of some of the tropes and stereotypes and stuff like that. Like there's,
well, I love the
at the end. I mean, I guess not giving anything too much away, but for those who've seen it, there's a scene where Michael Douglas just says, "When did this happen?" And it's like a legit point. It's like, wait, where was that going on? And it's like, well, it just kind of like, we'll just say it's under the radar because, superhero Marvel, this just kind of has to happen.
The trope they overcame, I did like that. So Scott Lang is quote-unquote the deadbeat dad of the story, trying to get his life back together. So his wife basically is hooking up with a cop. And I'm like, this could have gone so south. It could have just been, the cop's a douchebag, and eventually Scott Lang's going to...
It almost kind of does.
It almost does, but they saved it, and like, I was just so grateful for that. And the ending is just on a perfect note of just like, this sort of awkward, let's get it... And I'm like, you know what, I'll take it. Like, this is better than he's a D-bag. Because the other guy's not a D-bag.
It's the same thing with Hope is her name in this. Her point that she should be wearing the suit and going in, because majority of the movie I'm like, she's fucking right. Why
she's absolutely right.
But again, they kind of retcon that at the end, and they kind of fix it up, and it's like, okay, well, all right, I'll give it to you.
They hint enough that I'm just like, okay, I will overlook the fact that she totally should have been the hero of this movie, because you're totally hinting that she will be the hero of another movie.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those things where it's like, it's called Ant-Man, okay, and to be fair, with the background of Michael Douglas, with his juggling with, sort of the technical business world and, the family life, both he's kind of destroyed. It's like, you can understand a little bit more why he's done this, but it's still like, she still has a very valid point where it makes the most sense that she should be doing this. But like I said, even with that, they kind of come around in it. They kind of work it out okay. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I think I liked it better than most people because the response most people are saying is like, it's good. It's good.
That's my thought. It's good.
I think I liked it a little bit more because I just really was expecting not much. I mean, like I said, just the person being shrunk down does not interest me that much, but they did so much with it, and the people are so likable. I really felt like I was kind of watching, like, the old late 80s, films of like, hey, these stories aren't anything that phenomenal, but we got really good people to act it, real good, like, they feel like character actors. Yeah, and it's like, I could just watch these people
I even liked the guy who played the villain. Yeah. I just wish the script did a little more with him. Well, they hint.
But he gave so much more than that character was deserving.
He did. It was saved by his acting, and the funny thing is they hint, and this is just the sign of too many cooks in the kitchen, too much futzing around. They hint at some point that it's all Green Goblin-y, where it's like, no man, the suit's making you nuts, and it's just, it's a couple of throwaway lines, and I'm just like, wait, when were you
no idea what that was about.
And this is the problem. This is the weird thing about this movie, which is the thing that makes it better than it should have been because it lowered our expectations is also what makes it not as good as it could have been, which is 7 years this movie was in production. Edgar Wright was attached to do this.
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead.
Well, he's still technically in the credits.
Yeah.
You can tell there's his thumbprint on some of these ideas.
Yeah, you can tell his thumbprint is there. He left. He left because apparently Marvel got its fingers on. They're like, oh no, well you have to write this in. Well you have to put this in. We have to put this, and this, and all of these fucking connections to the MCU and their grand plan. And it just... I don't know. Here's my problem. If you were to tell me, if I had a version of myself from the future that came back to me as a 10-year-old, and he said, no, listen. Here's the deal, Rob. You in the future, when you're 36 years old, you're going to not as much be into the Avengers, X-Men, Spider-Man. You'll still like them. Oh, you'll like them. But you know what's really going to make you tick? Guardians of the Galaxy. Ant-Man. Agent Carter. Daredevil. But that's a big name, Rob. Yeah, but do you love Daredevil that much right now? Nah, he's okay. Yeah, you're going to love him. If you my little self would be like, you're a liar. Like, what do you, I would be like, what are you talking about? These lesser characters. But as a grown adult, that's really what it's come to. I'm like, looking at this, I'm like, I am enjoying these side films way more. I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy. I enjoyed Ant-Man. I enjoyed Agent Carter. I enjoyed Daredevil because they feel so far removed from the rest of this Avengers MCU, I don't want to say shit, but just stuff.
It's getting a little tiring, I think.
It's starting to finally wear thin on me that all of these have to be connected and you have to follow the rules. And I mean, that's why Wright had left. I think if the story's correct, he basically was okay with some revisions. They're like, okay, revise this, and they ran it past. He's like, okay, and apparently at some point Marvel just revised it themselves, and they're just like, you're doing this, and he's like, wait, what? He's like, at least I could find a way to work it in, but now, and like, I'm sorry, for me, it shows. The few things I didn't like about this film that much are when it just seems to break its own fun, goofy character and be like, and then the Avengers are like, you should join us! And they said yes! And like, there's like all of these connections near the end where you're like, Ant-Man's gonna be in the Avengers. Hint, hint! Nudge, nudge!
You know what it is?
Do you get it? He's gonna be in the Avengers!
No.
Nudge, look, he's gonna be in the Avengers! I got it! He's gonna be in the... Like, that's how the movie fucking... No, but that's how it fucking ends. I'm like, shut up! I don't care! I enjoyed this movie because it had nothing to do with the Avengers.
You know what it is? Where before it was like, ooh, like the Avengers are coming, here's this big thing you've waited for a long time, and then we got it and it was amazing, it was so cool, and now it's like, hey, I don't know if you know, but we're a pretty big deal, the Avengers. All we have to do, drop the name, boop, you're impressed, and it's like, it's getting a little too cocky for me. There's at the very end credits, there's something tying to something with the Avengers. I didn't even follow it, and I'm just like, I don't care.
I didn't even wait till the end because I didn't give a shit. Like, I was so... Like, here's the thing. There's a cameo in the beginning of this movie with Peggy Carter and Stark. I liked that because it was very throwaway. It just reminds you that this is all the same universe. I'm like, oh, it's cool to see Haley Atwell done up in old person makeup. And I'm like, okay, that's cute. It connects...
Done better than making Michael Douglas.
It connects Pym to Stark, and like... I didn't even mind the connection as much with the Avengers in the middle of the movie. Because I'm like...
I mean, we won't give it away, but yeah.
Won't give it away, but I'm like, okay, I didn't love it. I kind of rolled my eyes a little and was like, okay, because...
That's still a good fight scene. It was
because it's very obvious to me. It felt kind of like an afterthought, like...
Yeah.
Oh, and wouldn't you know, all of the Avengers are out of town. Biggest surprise. Like, so it felt like this very shoehorned in, like... Well, which of the Avengers stars can we get on short notice to film for a week? Like, it had that kind of vibe to it. Yeah. I mean, maybe it didn't, maybe this was playing, but that's what it felt like. I still was kind of okay with that. I'm like, you know what, it's a cute idea. They needed to get this thing, one of those magic doodads to make something work somehow. And I'm like, all right, that's cute. But then the whole movie, what was this fun... goofy side story where they kind of did a lot to be like, at one point he's like, why don't we call the Avengers? And Michael Douglas like, they're probably dropping a city on somebody somewhere. Like, I'm like, okay, that's cute. I'm like, good. It's like we've just decided, fuck those guys. Like, this is going to be its own fun little movie. And at the end, it just keeps rubbing it in your face. Yeah. Avengers! It's all connected! Do you get it? Do you get it? And like, I just felt like somebody was shoving me from the back of my head into the screen, like, Avengers! And I'm like, just stop. Like, I was enjoying this film because it was its own little thing.
Yeah,
I was enjoying Daredevil
3 or 4 very
because
heavy
it's its own thing. Yeah.
To Avengers, and it's just
and it just
I'm with
so,
you don't need it.
It so didn't need it. Like, and I think what George R. R. Martin was talking about this as well, that Ant-Man and a lot of these characters, I never got into them as a kid. But now as an adult, I'm like, I enjoy them because they're the underdog. While the Avengers are like the gods fighting on Mount Olympus, these little guys are, doing the everyday grind like Daredevil and Agent Carter and, just doing the day-to-day shit, to keep things running for ordinary people. And I appreciate that story, and I like the underdog story, and I wish it would stay an underdog story and not be about the fucking Avengers. And I'm fine with the Avengers. They can have their own movies. We can have an MCU, but
I'm not making the Ant-Man about the Avengers.
Yeah, I don't want the Ant-Man to be about the Avengers. I don't, I appreciated Guardians because they had Thanos and the Infinity Stone, but they weren't mentioning... He still did shit, but, like, that's the thing. It's like, it still felt like its own separate thing, almost. Like, the one link was just the Infinity Stone. I'm like, okay, like, that's it. And in that movie, it's just a magic doodad. Like, you have no idea. So it worked, but in this one, the way they just keep rubbing it in your fucking face, Avengers, I'm like, I'm just sick of it. Like, I just want a fun comic book movie, like Ant-Man or something. It's like, I swear to God, like, we'll, at some point we'll get, like, frickin' Squirrel Girl, and half the movie will be about her with the Avengers. Like, it just, I don't know. I don't know. I'm waiting for Suicide Squad to somehow reference the Avengers. I'm waiting for it in Batman. I feel that somehow Marvel's going to invade everything now, and I'm just back off a little, okay? I like the Avengers fine enough as it is. I don't need to be reminded 24/7.
You okay then?
I'm okay. I need to get that out. I need to get that out.
What a strange thing to become so angry about. I mean, I guess I shouldn't talk. I was yelling about Alice in Wonderland last week, but...
I enjoy these movies for what they are, and I don't need to be... Because it's... I feel like what Wright had probably wanted to do, and this is the thing, what tanks this movie a bit, I think, is the clunkiness of it. It feels like there were too many hands in it. There were too many people with too many different visions. And so, on the one hand, I feel that this movie, for Wright leaving, for Marvel getting way over-involved, for them, I don't think Marvel had full faith in this. I think Guardians at the time freaked them the fuck out, that they thought that wasn't going to work. I think they thought Ant-Man was not going to be a good follow-up, to Guardians. And now it's the reverse. I think they're going to look at this, kick themselves a bit, and be like, oh man, we should have thrown even more into Ant-Man. Like, who knew Guardians was going to be this big of a hit? But with all of this, it's amazing that this film came out as good as it did. It's a miracle. Like, it's a miracle that this film functions at all. And the fact that I can come out and say, I actually like this, is amazing. But at the same time, like, I wonder if Wright had been with it the whole way through, had Marvel not kept tinkering with it. We're all going to wonder
what it's like.
I'm like, we may have gotten, instead of a good movie, which I think overall this is a good movie, I think we could have gotten a really great movie.
Well, he's such a phenomenal filmmaker. It would have been interesting to see.
I think it could have been really quirky and fun, and that's why the whole Avengers thing bothers me, because I think that's partially why he left. I think he's just like, well, now you just want me to make just another Avengers trailer. Like, that's what's bothering me. It's that these fun, quirky films that should be their own thing feel like Avengers trailers. I'm like, I don't care. Just give me a fun, when you read comics, it's fun to see crossovers sometimes, but it's also fun to be in the world that one comic represents. You don't have to read every single episode of, something like Daredevil and have the Avengers mentioned every panel. And that's what it's feeling like to me. Like, every episode or every issue of, like, Spider-Man you open, the Avengers are mentioned every other panel. It's like, you don't need that. The occasional reference, see issue so-and-so is fine, but I just feel like that's what it's turning into, and I don't know. There's my rant.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I can follow that up, but we still like the movie.
Now everybody's gonna hate me. Why do you hate the Avengers? You bastard! I don't.
Where before it was like, don't you hate the Avengers?
I grew up on this shit, so I like it, but it's getting a little.
You get the secret.
Yeah, it's getting.
You knew Ant-Man before it was Movie Man, kinda, sorta.
I wouldn't go that far, but. Yeah, it's a little overkill.
Yeah.
Just back off a little, Marvel. Just let people do their thing a bit.
I agree. I didn't have quite as big an issue with it, but I agree. I think there's too much of connection.
All of that said, go see the movie.
Yeah, it was good.
Fun.
Go see it.
It was fun. This is just a gripe.
If you are looking for something like in terms of like plot and story, And even to some extent, even characters that are really new, you're not going to find it here. But if you're looking for a superhero movie with some neat effects and does a lot of creative stuff with it, and some really likable actors being really likable, I think this is a good movie for you.
The best way I can put it is,
check it out.
if you want to blow 2 hours out of the summer heat and have an excuse to eat some popcorn,
It's a good excuse.
it's a good excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you won't leave going, oh, I blew that 2 hours. You'll be like, that was kind of fun. So,
You won't leave saying, by God, there was nothing new in that at all. It's like, no, there is. It's just not necessarily
it was
in
fun.
the writing.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. Not the greatest thing ever, but it was a lot of fun.
So, yeah, what else can you say? But Baskin Robbins always finds out.
They always fucking find out.
Because they're linked to the Avengers!